Aaliyah's autopsy report revealed something shocking. Her death was not an accident. Reports that the official coroner's report about Aaliyah's crash was doctored just like her marriage certificate with R. Kelly is now out, and people are asking questions.
I ran to the phone, and I spoke to the director, Hype Williams, and he said, Aaliyah's gone. And I was devastated. I immediately called Minister Farrakhan and asked him, could he call God? Could he talk to God? And he said, oh, my brother, I can do.
It's a lot to process. They've been 20 years later.
Why did Hype Williams take the plane Aaliyah wanted? Why did her uncle take out a $90 million life insurance policy in her name 3 days before her death?
The plane crash that killed a rising star in the world of music and film. Reaction today after Aaliyah and 8 others were killed when their plane went down. Good evening, I'm Lauren Glassbergen for Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Tim Fleischer. The plane, just after taking off for Florida in perfect weather, suddenly plummeted to the ground. Investigators now saying one of the engines apparently failed. Along with 8 passengers, Aaliyah, a young Brooklyn native and a talented singer and actress. Jeff Rossen is live in Times Square with more on her life. Jeff.
And Aaliyah had a huge following not only here in New York City, but nationwide. Only 22 years old, this pop sensation was a popular singer. She was an actress in some movies recently, even a Grammy nominee. Tonight, her family is in mourning. Fans asking, why her? Relatives in shock outside Aaliyah's home on the Upper West Side. The R&B star lived here at the Century, Central Park West and 63rd. She was on a small plane heading to Florida from the Bahamas, where she was shooting a music video.
On August 25th, 2001, Aaliyah, one of the hottest artists of her generation, died in a plane crash. A plane that wasn't supposed to be on the runway and a pilot that wasn't cleared to fly. Everything about that flight that could have gone wrong went wrong. What was first only described as an accident was soon discovered to be something far more shocking. Allegedly, Aaliyah was murdered and her plane crash was just a cover-up.
When the twin-engine Cessna crashed, witnesses said it rolled hard to the left after taking off and fell almost straight down. There have been unconfirmed reports that the pilot, Luis Morales of Fort Lauderdale, may have questioned the amount of cargo and passengers to be loaded, and that's one of the first areas investigators will look into.
One thing we may discover that we can determine the weight of the luggage, which may help the investigators in determining whether the plane had an overload.
The crew that perished in the crash traveling with Aaliyah was scheduled to come back to South Florida on Sunday with the charter company Sky Limo in this 15-passenger plane, which can carry up to 4,500 pounds of fuel, passengers, and luggage. But for some reason, Aaliyah and her entourage chose to leave on Saturday afternoon in the smaller Cessna.
We feel very terrible about what happened. It was, obviously a terrible tragedy. One of those things of fate that, if she'd been on this plane that next day, maybe this all wouldn't have happened. We all wouldn't be here.
In New York City, a mural was made Monday in remembrance of the young R&B star who many said had an unlimited future.
Aaliyah was taking over the music industry with her talent. Albums like One in a Million and hits like Are You That Somebody were making waves everywhere, and at the age of just 22, people were calling Aaliyah the next Beyoncé. She was more talented, had a better personality, and unlike Beyoncé, Aaliyah didn't need to marry someone to get awards. Aaliyah's second album went double platinum when she was just 16. 2 months after her third album was released, however, Aaliyah died.
At that time, how did you explain that some record companies were rejecting?
How did I what? I'm sorry, what did you say? How
did you explain the fact that some record companies didn't?
The fact that, some people weren't sure and didn't really think I had what it took. Of course it was painful. Rejection is painful, but, I felt deep in my heart and in my soul that I had it and that I would do it and that I could do it. And I honestly believed that no matter what anybody said. And I continued. I said, fine, you don't want me, somebody else will. And I will prove it. I will get out there and I will be a star. And I really meant it. And you have to have that frame of mind. You have to have that kind of confidence to make it in this industry or you won't make it. So I did it. And I'm very proud of the fact that I did.
Who was the one person who benefited the most from Aaliyah's death? Was this more than just an accident? And if yes, then who is responsible?
She was our age, and it's just scary because that could have been any one of us. And she was an angel, and I know that now she's with God.
Aaliyah's plane was doomed before she ever even took off. Authorities later confirmed the plane was 700 pounds overweight when it took off. The pilot, Luis Morales III, wasn't even qualified to fly the Cessna. He had been hired just days before the flight and, shockingly, had cocaine in his system at the time of the crash.
During those 7 months that he was building his hours, he was arrested twice. The first time was in November of 2000 after he tried to return $345 of stolen aviation parts. The second time he was arrested was on July 7th when he was pulled over for running a stop sign and police found crack cocaine in his car, and Lewis told the officer that he was in the area to buy cocaine for a friend. And if you're wondering how a guy like this is allowed to continue flying, here's the truth. Pilots have up to 60 days to self-report alcohol or drug-related convictions. And technically, Lewis was still within the 60-day window at the time of the crash, but he hadn't self-reported yet. I'm not sure what Lewis was thinking, but a few weeks after his arrest, things started to quickly spiral out of control leading up to the crash. Over the course of 19 days, from July 29th to August 17th, Lewis logged multiple flights for an additional 490 hours of flight time. And if you do the math, that's impossible because that's almost 26 hours a day. Now, during that time period, in order for Lewis to fly for a private charter company, he needed to pass what's known as a Part 135 check ride conducted by an FAA examiner. Now, that examiner is supposed to review your logbook as part of that process, and that check ride allegedly took place with a company called Golden Airlines on August 13th. That was just 12 days before the tragedy. However, August 13th was also the day that Lewis appeared in court and pled no contest to the possession and dealing in stolen property. Now, at this court hearing, since he was a first-time offender, the judge gave him probation and said that as long as Lewis could provide a constant stream of paychecks to verify his employment, then the state probation officials were ordered not to contact his employer. And this is likely why no one ever found out about any of this before the crash.
The most damning piece of evidence, however, is how Aaliyah knew something was wrong. First of all, Aaliyah was never meant to get on this plane. Someone else took the plane that was meant for her that day. Hype Williams, her producer, left on the plane that was meant for Aaliyah, forcing her to get on a rust bucket with a cocaine addict. If that wasn't bad enough, Aaliyah wasn't even conscious when she boarded the plane.
On August the 25th, as you heard earlier, 2001, Aaliyah and 8 others died in this fiery plane crash just a minute after taking off from an airport in the Bahamas. Sadly, no one survived. Now, she'd been filming a music video just 200 miles east of Miami. A witness has since come forth claiming Aaliyah was given a pill before she got on the flight. What have you uncovered about that allegation?
Yeah, the new book, Baby Girl, reveals some new details about the final moments before that tragic accident. And according to the author, Aaliyah was sitting in a taxi as her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after, she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep and may not have even been aware that she was on the airplane. Now, we should say we don't know what that pill was. It could have been aspirin. Maybe she was just very tired from a long video shoot. And the baggage handler did say that she took it willingly. But it does reveal some new information about those final moments.
It wasn't a coincidence that Hype was there that day and took away Aaliyah's plane. Aaliyah's manager said there was a push from R. Kelly and Aaliyah's mother to use Hype Williams. It would later be revealed in a lawsuit that R. Kelly was involved in planning some truly horrific crimes with Hype Williams and was in a secret relationship with Aaliyah's mother.
What idea was it for her to go down to the Caribbean to shoot this?
Hype Williams. Yeah, Hype was the director. Be very honest with you, I did not want to use Hype Williams, but there was a push from management, which is her mom, to do a video with Hype. I did not really want to work with Hype Williams. I regret that. If I could do it over again, I would not have worked with him. And I don't know where the video would have been shot. Would it have been still shot there or someplace else? But it's the first time I've ever said that. But that's what was in my heart when his name came up.
So it was more your sister than R. Kelly pushing for Hype Williams?
I don't know, but that's a very good question. there was some type of rapport my sister had with Robert Kelly that began to creep into our lives. And I really don't know what that is. I really couldn't tell you what that is. That's something my sister would have to talk about. But I did feel, because Hype and R. Kelly had a relationship because he directed a lot of Robert's videos. So the fact that you just said that is very amazing, because it was a push to use Hype more than there was a push to use anybody else.
Shockingly, it wasn't just Aaliyah's mother who was involved in this. 4 days before Aaliyah's plane crash, her uncle, the same person who claims he did everything to try and save her, took out a life insurance policy in Aaliyah's name. 4 days later, Aaliyah died. Now, I don't know about you, but that timing seems too good to be a coincidence.
4 days before they went to the Bahamas for Aaliyah's music video shoot, her uncle and his company Blackground Records went into court and received some type of demand, some type of waiver, to where if there was anything that happened to anyone on set in the Bahamas, that they would not be responsible. Ultimately, her uncle went to the court in New York and said, hey, we've got something going on in the Bahamas. If anyone were to get hurt here, how do we protect ourselves and make sure that we can't be sued or be held liable? And ultimately, they came up with this. And this was literally created 4 days before they went to the music video shoot. So it seemed like he knew that something was going to happen in the Bahamas and didn't want his company or anyone to be held accountable. And literally, this complaint brings up the fact that if anyone were to die, he would not be at fault. His company would have no damages sustained if someone were to pass away, which seems like a huge waiver to have. Why does his company have this power, and why did they prepare this before this shoot where the main star passes away?
Aaliyah dies. I was with Barry when Aaliyah died for a wrongful death. He got paid $90 million for her death. Am I supposed to say that on TV? Sue me. I ain't got nothing. So I was with him on the negotiations. You know what I'm saying? Blackground Records. He's married to Gladys Knight. Wow. So he had Timberland, Genuine, Missy Elliott, and Aaliyah is his niece. You know?
Oh, wow.
Aaliyah's his niece. So he got a settlement for $90 million for her death.
Was that just for his rights or whatever he owned?
What she would have been able to make if she hadn't have died.
Oh, okay. There was a lot of lawsuits.
I guess, okay. But that was the settlement. I wasn't in. I was there when we went over to he got $90 million. He wouldn't stay at the L'Hermitage Hotel. We ate good.
Aaliyah's death was awfully convenient for a lot of industry leaders. Beyoncé's supremacy was being threatened. R. Kelly's secret marriage with Aaliyah was coming into the light, and allegedly, even Diddy was angry at Aaliyah for rejecting him. Aaliyah was taking over the industry, and the industry elites didn't like this.
Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter. Yeah. Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened. And yet, they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it.
R. Kelly thought that if he got rid of Aaliyah, no one would ever find out his crimes. He made Aaliyah swear that they were never married, even though their marriage certificate was discovered just months later. He made Aaliyah swear that she would never tell anyone. And it was only in 2021, 20 years after Aaliyah died, that R. Kelly admitted to marrying and abusing her in a court filing.
Okay, you're 18, you already went to your prom. Is it possible at all to have a relationship on the road? I would say it's possible, I just don't have one. I don't have one right now. I don't have a boyfriend. And I can't say I'm really looking. I think it'll come along at the right time. I have a lot of friends, and when that guy comes along, I'll know it, he'll know it, and then it'll happen. But I am really busy with the career and the fact that I'm getting ready to go back to school, so I'll just see how it works out.
3 years ago, there was this terrible rumor out. What is the deal with you and R. Kelly? Are you all married or not?
No, I'm not married. Robert's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. He's a great producer, great artist, who I do admire, and there's nothing there at all.
Their situation, they had a pact, pins and eyeballs, no matter what anyone said, or if anyone stuck pins in their eyeballs, they would never tell about their relationship. Things like that.
Okay, so what exactly did he tell you about his relationship with Aaliyah, outside of the pins and eyeballs thing?
He told me that they were married, that she was pregnant, that they did doctor up the marriage certificate, so she would say that she was 18, so they could get married. And the reason they got married was because they felt like if he was married to her, and if he said he thought that she was 18, that he wouldn't be charged if someone found out she was pregnant until they were able to get the abortion and get it annulled.
It wasn't just industry insiders that were involved in Aaliyah's death. Her mom, the same person that was supposed to protect her, her uncle who took responsibility for her safety, they all betrayed her. Aaliyah's mom loved R. Kelly was hooking up with him behind Aaliyah's back. Even after Aaliyah's death, she refused to have the crash investigated. Her uncle, on the other hand, benefited $90 million from her death.
Did you ask him at all why he was having, because he was probably, 24, 25 at the time? Like, why he was having the 14-year-old?
Yeah, he was older. I never asked him why, I guess because we were kind of like in a conversation of just confiding in each other. But he did get a little more in depth with more details about when her mother found out, and that her mother, he actually stayed at their home in Detroit, and her mother actually was attracted to him as well. And he said when Aaliyah would go to sleep, that he would, this is what he said. He said that he would go in the living room and him and her would do sex on the couch while Aaliyah was sleeping in the bedroom.
R. Kelly was having Aaliyah and her mother at the same time?
That's
not the exact same time, but
that's
the
what
same
he said.
Time frame?
That's what he says, yeah.
Oh, so maybe this is why Aaliyah's parents have never spoken out themselves.
Makes sense to me.
When you learned, I'll say different, what did you do when you learned that R. Kelly had illegally married your niece Aaliyah?
Went crazy. I really went into myself. I met with the minister and really had to debrief me, and because my reaction was not a good reaction. I had no understanding of it. I had no compassion for it. It was just totally out of the realm of what I would think any young girl should have had to experience. And I made myself known, obviously, to Robert Kelly, and in a conversation, and I've never spoken to him again to this day.
What did you say to him?
Things like, who do you think you are? And we trusted you. I've worked very hard to make your career happen.
You were managing him.
Yes.
You must have felt terribly betrayed.
I was betrayed, and my whole family was betrayed.
The shocking part of the situation is that these aren't the only parents who betrayed their daughters. R. Kelly claimed that the families of all of the girls he was involved with knew what he was doing, but they only asked him for money. They were okay with whatever happened as long as he got paid. This is why he became angry at them during the investigation.
I have been assassinated. I have been buried alive. But I'm alive.
So I think the point you're making is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have never held anybody against their will.
I don't need to. Why would I?
Well,
How stupid would it be for R. Kelly with all I've been through in my way, way past, to hold somebody, let alone 4, 5, 6, 50, you said. How stupid would I be to do that?
I didn't say you were holding.
That's stupid, guys.
I didn't.
Is this camera on me?
Yes, it's on.
That's stupid. Use your common sense. Don't forget the blogs. Forget how you feel about me. Hate me if you want to, love me if you want, but just use your common sense. How stupid would it be for me to, with my crazy past and what I've been through, oh, right now I just think I need to be a monster and hold girls against their will, chain them up in my basement, and don't let them eat and don't let them out unless they need some shoes down the street from their uncle. Robert, stop it. Y'all quit playing. Quit playing. Robert. I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life.
Tonight, a federal judge in Brooklyn sentenced singer and convicted sexual predator R. Kelly to 30 years in prison.
This is a significant outcome for all victims of R. Kelly, and especially for the survivors who so bravely testified about the horrific and sadistic abuse they endured.
The one-time music superstar faced life behind bars after a jury found him guilty in federal court on 1 count of racketeering and 8 counts of trafficking. The trial lasting nearly 6 weeks, with close to 50 witnesses testifying against Kelly, more than half of them alleging abuse.
Leaked industry reports suggest that R. Kelly's behavior wasn't a secret. People around him allegedly knew who he was and what he was doing, but as long as the money flowed, no one intervened. It wasn't until the checks stopped clearing, until the silence was no longer being paid for, that the stories began to surface. Suddenly, what had once been whispered became documented. What had been ignored became undeniable.
Jaguar Wright told us that Jay-Z was worse than Diddy. And we're going to go ahead and deep dive this Jay-Z and Diddy connection to show just how deep this might actually go. The one thing I can't stand is seeing these photos of Jay-Z and Diddy with Aaliyah. It makes me sick to my stomach. We know that Diddy and Jay-Z have both been friends with R. Kelly for years, and Jay-Z continued to make albums with R. Kelly after all the information came out with him and Aaliyah. And I'd say this is because Jay-Z was pretty comfortable with the fact that he knew he also wanted Aaliyah, and honestly, so did Diddy. And Aaliyah's death has never sat right with me. There are so many sketchy things around her death that just don't make sense. The fact that Aaliyah was given a substance and knocked unconscious and then was carried onto this plane that she didn't want to get on because she thought that something was wrong with it that led to her death is just crazy. There's also even more disturbing information about Aaliyah's pilot of that plane, and they said that he had just joined the program 2 days prior before the flight, and he wasn't even supposed to be the pilot on that flight.
Aaliyah was sitting in a taxi as her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after, she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep. And
8 people died in the crash that took Aaliyah's life. Immediately upon impact, 5 people, including Aaliyah, died. 3 passengers later died of their injuries. Allegedly, the plane didn't even survive takeoff and swerved to the left right after it left the ground. The official coroner's report states that Aaliyah died from severe burns and a blow to the head. Combined with the rapid impact and the conditions of the crash, it paints a picture that is both violent and abrupt. Yet somehow, the details still don't feel complete. And that's why, even decades later, people continue to question what really happened that day.
Positioned on runway 27, the west-facing side, Captain Morales powered up his plane and began the takeoff run. The plane would use little over half of the runway to accelerate to takeoff speed. Captain Morales angled his plane into the air and immediately experienced difficulty in controlling the aircraft. In the plane's very short flight, the aircraft peaked at an altitude under 100 feet above the runway. As the plane was highly unbalanced, the Cessna pitched into a high nose-up attitude. The left wing began to drop as not enough lift was being generated by the wings to sustain the excessive weight of the aircraft. This led into a left bank and the nose dropped. In the following seconds, the plane fell to the ground. In a nose-down left bank attitude, the Cessna crashed into the ground in a marshy area just beyond the end of the runway. A fire consumed the wreckage of the aircraft. 8 of the plane's 9 occupants were dead. killed when the plane crashed. There was one initial survivor, Aaliyah's own bodyguard, Scott Gallen. He was found by first responders, but he passed away shortly after the crash. The investigation put the accident down to multiple factors: an overweight plane, improper distribution of the weight, an unqualified pilot, falsified documents, and poor airline management.
Some are wondering whether the crash that took Aaliyah's life was truly an accident. Despite no definitive evidence, some online sleuths believe that Aaliyah's death may have been organized to protect famous faces in the music industry who may have been involved in Diddy's alleged crimes. More intriguing, however, is a detail concerning the moments before the fateful plane crash. According to the Daily Beast, Aaliyah had a known fear of flying. Some question why she would have boarded the private plane, which was small and overloaded with luggage, a contributing factor in the crash. An eyewitness whose family reportedly owned the taxi company Aaliyah and her team used to get to the airport claimed to have seen her being carried onto the plane unconscious.
No one knows what Aaliyah's last moments were like, but there is one thing for certain. This wasn't just an accident. A bad pilot flying an overloaded, damaged plane carrying a person that was never even supposed to be on the runaway? These are more than just coincidences. They're loose strings in a conspiracy Hollywood is desperate to hide. The details we've looked at today, the overweight plane, the unlicensed pilot, the last-minute plane swap, the eyewitness accounts that she was unconscious, the insurance policy, and the people who stood to gain the most, they raise questions that have never been fully answered. Let me know what you believe. Was Aaliyah's death an accident or a cover-up?